In this lesson, we're going to take a look at using my area formula and my circumference formula to work backwards for a circle problem. So for instance, you're given what the final area is. It's 200.96 square inches, feet, whatever. But that's the area, the amount of space, the amount of squares it takes up to fill a circle. And it may work backwards and say, okay, what is the diameter? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our area formula, which is A equals pi times r squared. Again, easy way to remember, the formula with the square in it is what finds area, because area is counting the number of squares it takes to cover an object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my area formula, fill in numbers I know, and solve backwards. So A equals pi times r squared. Well, what do I know? I know what A is. My area is 200.96, so I'm going to rewrite it. 200.96 equals, what's pi? Pi is the number 3.14 times r. What is my radius? I don't know yet, so I have to leave that as my variable. So I want to work to get the r by itself. I have a multiplied number, so I multiply by its reciprocal, and this automatically will go away. We run into a little bit of an issue, and that you've seen this in prior lessons. I have a decimal, but I can't rewrite it as 1 over 3.14. So if the decimal's causing us a problem, I'm just going to get rid of the decimal. I need the decimal to move 2 times to the right to become a whole number. Just like we do in long division when I have a decimal number out front. I take and move the decimal place 1 time on the outside and on the inside. You've been doing it for years. We're just going to do it now with algebra. So technically, to move a decimal 2 times to the right, I can't just pick it up and move it. I'm going to multiply by 100. The reason it's 100 is because it needs to move twice, 2 place values, 2 zeros. Multiply by 100 on both sides. What that does is I can combine like terms. 3.14 times 100, check it on your calculator, equals the number 314. I still have r to the second left. Take this side, 200.96 times 100. Move it twice to the right, check it on your calculator, is 20,096. So now I'm working with all whole numbers. Now I can multiply by reciprocal. I need the reciprocal of 314. Oh, 1 over 314. 1 over 314. Multiply. 314 times 1 over 314 cancels out to 1. I'm left with r to the second. Take my calculator. 1 over 314 times 20,096 equals the number 64. However, I'm not done yet. My equation now is my radius squared equals 64. Okay, so a number squared equals 64. I think we can understand what number it has to be. But algebraically, how do I remove an exponent of 2? When I remove an exponent of 2, I do the opposite operation, the inverse. The inverse of squaring something is to square root something. So if I square root one side, I'm going to square root the other. The square root cancels out the exponent. I'm left with just the radius. Square root of 64. Okay, second x2 button, 64 equals 8. Now notice I'm not done. My radius is 8, so what does my diameter have to be? Oh, diameter is 2 times the radius. So my circle, 8 is halfway across. What's the whole way across? Another 8 must be 16. So that's area working backwards. Let's go with circumference working backwards. Same concept. Formula, here's what circumference is. Plug this in and solve backwards. So instead of writing C equals 2 times pi times r, my circumference is 131.88 equals 2 times pi times r. Let's combine terms if I can. This is 131.88. 2 times pi. Well, pi is 3.14. 2 times pi is 6.28 times r. I run into the same situation. I have a decimal. I need my decimal to leave. So I'm going to move it twice to the right. How can I do it mathematically? Multiply this side by 100. That'll move it twice. If I wanted to move it once, I would multiply by 10. 3 times, I would multiply it by 1,000. Multiply this side by 100. 6.28 times 100 is 628 times r. What is 100 times 131.88? 13188, because my decimal moves twice to the right. 13,188. Same setup. How do I get rid of a multiplied number? With its reciprocal, with its multiplicative inverse. 1 over 628. 1 over 628. 628 times 1 over 628 is 1. I'm left with r. What is this number? Take my calculator. 131.88 times 1 over 628 equals 21. Now from here, it depends what the question's asking. Does it want the radius? Does it want the diameter? You can make your decision from there. So working backwards, take your formula, take your area, plug it in, take your circumference, plug it in. The only difference is, how do I get rid of that decimal? If it's a 2-digit decimal, multiply by 100. If it's only a 1-digit decimal, then I'd multiply by 10. Once you multiply both sides by 100, then you get whole numbers. Multiply by reciprocals. How do I get rid of a square, an exponent of 2? I do the square root of both sides. So again, this is working backwards, solving out what is the radius or diameter of a circle.